The Saka of the Arya, the center of the puja, which is now called the Muaratakas temple complex. In pre-Islamic times is a sacred area. Besides a place for sacred rituals, it is also used to carry out taking blessings and endorsements, or prasampahan. 1. Welcome and release of the Datu. 2. Release of the Brahmin, who finished education, graduation. 3. The place for swearing in the title Datu, Rshi, Raja Vanua. 4. Place of coronation, title of top leadership of the country. 5. The place to perform sacred rituals, the movement of walking around the object. The sacred ritual around the object is moving around the site. To the right is the opening. To the left is the closing, with an odd number of rounds 1, 3, 7, 9 and 13 rounds. The sacred ritual circling this object later became known as Pradaksina in Buddhism and Prasawiya in Hinduism, synonymous with tawaf. These sacred rituals are seen and recorded when Chinese pilgrims come to study, including in 399 to 414 AD. Fa Huan on a trip in Svarnadvipa noted, following the river Po Nai, is the river Panay, Kampar, in the place where the students had lived there and made a movement of walking in circles around tope or stupa. There are also 4 teachers sitting in 4 corners. In this place a tower has been erected. What Fa Huan sees and records is a holy ritual of rotating movements around an object named Pradaksina, Prasawiya, Tawaf d. Muaratakas. In 602-664 AD, Hyan Sang recorded what he saw in Svarnadvipa. Beside it was a stupa built by the king, about 200 feet high. Near this there is a sign where the Tathagata is walking to and fro. Complete info, click the link on the link below. In South Sumatra around Palembang Maro Jambi there are Gumpung temple sites, Candi Tinggi, Candi Gedong 1 and 2, Kadatan Temple, Astano Temple. This is a place of learning, dharmic, marked with buildings made of red bricks and black stones. In the archipelago, this is not a center for learning Buddhism. Chinese pilgrims are here to study, not to bring teachings from their country to spread here. Palembang was not the center of the previous Buddhist teachings. Make no mistake, in the pre-Islamic period there were no recorded Buddhist missionaries as well as Hinduism coming to the Indonesian archipelago bringing teachings from India to the archipelago, but they came here bringing teachings from here to their country. This is the son of the archipelago who is recorded as carrying the original teachings of the previous Indonesian archipelago, which later underlies the birth of Buddhism, Hinduism and Jainism in India. Dharmadasa 700 to 620 BC, Dharmapala 670 to 580 BC, Suvarnadvipa Dharmakirtis 610 BC, 520 BC, Kumarila Bhatta I 618 to 540 BC, Adi Sankara 569 to 537 BC, Kri Janayasa 6th century AD is also Maharesi Markandeya 9th century AD. Original Dharmic, which produces graduates of the quality as mentioned above, and those graduates go on a holy journey. Siddhartha, bringing Dharma, Dhamma, throughout the archipelago is perfectly kept in Bali. This, original Dharmic, was the forerunner to the birth of the teachings that later became Buddhism, Jaina and Hinduism in India. In 563 to 483 BC, was born Siddhartha Gautama, the figure of Buddhism. In the years 549 to 477 BC, was born Mahavira, figure, Jainism. In the 9th century AD, the British era in India was born a religion that did not come from a founder or one point in time like other religions to distinguish neither the two before nor Islam. Sangharama, University, Dharmic, Learning Center in Svarnadvipa named Dharma Phala, in the location of the Holy City, which is the center of the puja and the coronation place of the Dachuik, as well as the king of the Vatsal, Vanua, Mandala named Muotakui, is now published as the Muaratakas site. In 13 Kodo district, Kampar Riau Regency. Sriwijaya is not in the form of kingdom, but Kadachuan, and if there is a name of a figure in Sriwijaya with the word Raja, it does not mean that he is king in the general sense of a king who decreases his power to his son. The government control, Kadachuan, is the husband of one of his daughters, the Niniak Dachuik Gaho Dubalai, successor to the Sriwijaya Kadachuan. Still exists today. See Ampu, who is called Dachuik, who carries out government and customs are assisted by several Dachuik, among others. The Ampu commander Malam Clever. The word Dachuik is only in the central area of the Kadachuan, Apart from this it is called Datuk and Dachuik, namely the leader of Vatsal Vanua Kingdom. Vinanga Katua or Minanga Katwa is the Kadachuan region which is headquartered in Katanka, a location on the hill of the Katanka region. Marked Kodo, which has a number at the center of the certificate with 13 Kodo. Sriwijaya Kadachuan with the matrilineal system, namely the holder of government control was continued from the mother lineage which was called Si Ampu. In the pre-Islamic era it was called Shanghyang Dui Pudi. In the Vatsal Vanua Kingdom area this was called Bundo Kanduang, or Ratu, with the term K Rachuan, Keratin. The central Kadachuan, when he was called and known as Sriwijaya, namely the year 458 AD pre-Islam, was marked by the construction of a tower in the center of the puja which is now called Malagai Stupa Temple, in the Muaratakas temple complex. This is originally made by the archipelago. The next generation and their customary order are still complete until now, marked with tribal names, including Kaniago, Badi, Piliong, Patapang, Domo, Muaratakas sites that make them not Babylonians, Indians or others. The initial site is what is now called Tuo Temple. It existed before the time of Solomon as well as before the global disaster of Noah's flood, was built by the pre-Sriwijaya ancestors of the Indonesian nation. The current form is 5 times overlay with red bricks of 5 generations of his predecessors long before Christ. Pukuk leaders who are called Pucik Alam Pulau Poko include 1. Shanghyang Prabu Maharajadaraja Makawi, origin of the word Agarwood. 2. Shanghyang Prabu Maharajadaraja Makari, origin of the word Kuri, of the sun. 3. Shanghyang Prabu Maharajadaraja Makori, origin of the word Kori, Karis. It was during the leadership of Shanghyang Prabu Maharajadaraja Makawi that the port, Baras, became famous because it was the port where all the ships going out and in had to take a permit. Mother Dewey or Padma Dewey has a parentage from Mother Mina Katua, Tua Sakato, which is now published in an area called Minang Kabau, Mother Dampu on Mount Dempo, Mother Sima in Mount Basma until her son named Brahma is now in Mount Bromo, Java. In the 7th generation of the Malam, a son named Bathara Tapa Nali had a child named Opung Distance Marabu. From here his descendants made Marga, while Dharma Raya, Dharma Sreya, was a descendant of the Dadu race in Kadachuan, namely Shanghyang Dui Pudi Indamo, from several of them. 1. Shanghyang Dui Pudi Inda Dunia 2. Shanghyang Dui Indo Jati 3. Shanghyang Dui Pudi World Indo 4. Shanghyang Dui Pudi Indo Mayang 5. Shanghyang Dui Pudi Indo Meda. Shanghyang Dui Pudi Indamo. Her male brother has the title Dachuik Indamo. In Eslampur Suki, her nephew has grown up in the city young. Dharmasreya then developed to Peryongan, built a palace for her nephew's daughter in Pagaruyang, with the name of the country, Sirwaso. In the Batasankar the title is Datuk Rajo di Balai, not Du Balai. The source of the literary origin of the word Minang Kabau is that the word originally came from the Sriwijaya center, namely the word Mananga. Mananga is taken from the name of a pre-Islamic mother, namely Bunda Mona, the mother of a gathering place for scholars and dignitaries. Mananga Tamuan is sometimes interpreted as a meeting place for 2 rivers. The literacy of the word Tamuan is identical to the meaning of the philosophy of the bee or wasp, which has a system of governance on the mother or queen in the philosophy wasp bee, which is depicted on the clothes of the Dadu, namely there is a yellow line on the arm. Mananga is distorted into the word Minang, only this time. The Singosari kingdom called the word Manang in the British colonial period, the Manang in the Dutch colonial period changed to the word Manang, plus the word Kabau, which means buffalo, plus the publication of stories about the buffalo who won the fight. As a tactic the invaders pitted them against each other. Then the Kadachuan in the post-Islamic era, namely the 7th century, 20th century, when the leader of the Kadachuan was named Shanghyang Dadu Indra Brahman. At the initiative of Siampu, Shanghyang Dui Pudi was the 3rd generation ordering to write a letter to Caliph Umar bin Abdul Aziz. To the Umayyad Caliphate whose capital is in Turkey, the letter is still stored in the Turkey Museum. Sangharama branch in India called Nalanda, branch in Javadvipa named Vwana Chaka Fala is now published as Borobudur. This is the place to study the teachings of the archipelago's ancestors from the Sailendra dynasty, in the pre-Islamic era long before Siddhartha Gautama was born, and there are Buddhist teachings in India. There were no pre-Islamic preachers or Indian saints, either Buddhists or pre-Islamic Hindus, who came to the archipelago of Indonesia earlier, so all sites in Indonesia, as well as Borobudur, are not based on Buddhist or Hindu teachings. It was our ancestors who brought the teachings of Dharma by the Brahmins, or Brahmanism, out of the archipelago, before Veda was written down. The Brahmins are the Saka of the Arya, the ancestors of the previous Indonesian archipelago by Santosaba. Complete info. Click link in the description.